these effects, how potentially could they affect fibroids? So specifically, I'm looking at, now we've said that fibroids could have some effect on weight control, inflammation, and so on. Potentially, how could this affect fibroids? So remember that we said that fibroids is associated with being overweight. What we said was that being overweight increases the risk of fibroids. Now, not every overweight woman has fibroids, of course. So when we say associated with, it just means that when you look at the numbers, okay, you're going to find more women with fibroids who are overweight than who are not. But it doesn't mean that directly every single overweight woman has fibroids. So let's just be careful with that definition. So if a woman who is overweight is more likely to have fibroids, it makes sense that if she loses weight, it reduces her risk of developing fibroids. It might even help to reduce the fibroids that she has, or shrink, or even control the symptoms. So that is one way that fasting potentially, so that's an indirect effect of the fibroids, of the fasting on the fibroids, because it helps with weight control. If it's done properly, if it's done in a supervised manner, it is safe, and you're losing weight in a healthy, steady fashion, that can actually help in managing the fibroids, because we know that being overweight is linked to fibroids. So that's one way. And then I said it also helps to regulate hormones. We're not exactly sure how that happens in terms of the regulation of hormones, which hormones in particular, but you're eating more healthy. You're probably eating less amounts of unhealthy foods when you're fasting. We talked about how the body is able to get rid of dead cells and grow newer cells. So that change in the body, that change in the makeup of the body, which fasting creates, may also contribute to reducing the risk of fibroids developing. So it's helping to regulate hormones. Could it help to balance out estrogen and progesterone that are already implicated in fibroids growth? That's possible. Could it help with inflammation? Yes, we've said that. We know that fibroids, one of the issues around, or ways that it develops, we know is because of some free radicals, oxidative processes going on, that is inflammation. We know somehow that is linked to how fibroids develop. What goes into it, we're not 100% sure, but we know that there's some link to that. There's some thoughts that fasting could help to remove that effect. So yes, there's a potential that it could help to manage fibroids. So fasting effect on weight control, on helping to balance hormones, relieving inflammation, that could all help in preventing or shrinking fibroids or managing the symptoms. But again, I want to remind you of this thing known as individual variation. And this thing known as individual variation it's really important when you sit down and watch a video on YouTube here, or you read something, or somebody comes and tells you, hey, try fasting, it will do this, it will do that, or the other. Now, how should you take that news? I think you should be open. I'm I encourage a lot of searching for health information, doing your own research, getting information from reputable sources. I encourage that a lot. I encourage asking questions from different sources so that you have a balanced picture. You can make the right decision. Is it going to work for you? Nobody can really tell until you actually decide to try it out. There are some people who don't want to have surgery. They don't want to take any medication for fibroids, and their choices are respected. If you want to go into fasting, the sensible thing to do is to look at the process. Could it potentially have any harmful effects for you? And I've told you a list of people whom it could. So if you're in that category, you shouldn't be fasting. You should at least speak to your doctor and say, these are my concerns, these are my questions. Is there a safe way for me to do this? And your doctor might want to discuss that with you or refer you to a dietitian so you're doing it safely. If you're not in those category of people, and then you want to go about fasting, then you need to look at, okay, what potentially could happen if I am going to fasting? How long am I going to do this for?